Hey guys, it's your boy Jake G, and today I'm going to talk about probably the most sensitive subject that I could possibly ever talk about, and it's going to be about my brother passing away to a drug overdose. And I have decided that I'm going to open my life and talk about all my past addictions, talk about everything that I've been through, and raise awareness for people because I know there are a lot of people. There is an insane amount of people struggling with addiction right now, family members that are struggling with addiction, and just since I've started talking about this on TikTok and Facebook and things like that, in Instagram, I have gotten an overwhelming amount of support, and not just that, a lot of people telling me how I've touched their lives, affected them, and so I am going to continue to come out with my stories in my past and maybe future podcasts with other people that have gone through this or whatever. But that's the future. For now, I want to just get my story out there for people to hear, and just keep raising awareness to this terrible, terrible, terrible disease that people are going through. um so I'm gonna try and keep this video as short as I can and just kind of cover what happened that day. And the reason I chose this video to pretty much do, one of my first videos, is because I made a TikTok about how my brother passed away, and it reached over 1 million views on TikTok, and I've had a lot of people wonder what happened. So I just wanted to kind of get this out there, and if I get this is like the third time I've tried to record this. So I think I might be able to get through it without getting too upset. We'll have to see, I guess. So uh, we'll see if this is the one, guys. And if you guys do want to see my other content, it's Jake G762 on Facebook, Jake G762 on Instagram, Jake G762 underscore on Instagram, Jake G762 on TikTok. All right. Um, so I'm gonna start off with like 2 weeks before 2 weeks before he passed, and then I'll cover like the week after he passed. Okay, so that just kind of like get that in there. So basically, I'm gonna start off with this: that I was addicted to heroin for over 10 years. I started at a very, very young age. At 14, I was addicted to pain pills. By 15, I was snorting heroin. By 16, before I even turned 16, I was injecting heroin. And that lasted for over a decade, on and off, of course. Tried to get clean here and there, Suboxone program, methadone, blah blah blah, but it never. 10 years later, I was still using it. In the last couple years, but basically in the last 6 months is when it got so bad. Is when I started injecting cocaine and heroin. Not, I never did at the same time. I never cared to because I loved the way the cocaine felt when I injected the cocaine. Um, and the heroin I just used as maintenance. It was a maintenance thing. It was just so I didn't get sick, and then I used cocaine to get high. And I did the last 6 months were the most treacherous, like self-exploding 6 months. Destruction, destroyed everything, destroyed. I was a functioning drug addict, as guess you could say, and I was able to function. I was able to run a landscaping company for literally the whole 10 years. I was able to take a shot of dope, jump out the truck, and meet a brand new customer and sell a $5,000 landscaping job to that customer. I was able to get my crews, and they were able to work, and I was able to go get my dope when I needed it. It was like I always had connections because it was all over the city. Even though I thought moving out of Detroit would solve all that, it was not. Where I live at, Northern Michigan, it was the same. I was able to get dope whenever I needed it. Of course, there were times where I couldn't get it or whatever, but for the most part, I was able to get it when I needed it, and I was able to stay high whenever I want to stay high. So either way, for 10 years I was on it, and my brother really wasn't a true drug addict like I was ever. He started to get into heroin, about 3 months before he passed. Literally, up until that point, he spent his whole life trying to get me off of drugs. He was never really around. He never really did drugs. He would do, maybe he smoked weed his whole life, but he never was getting into drugs. If he did coke on a night, he'd snort it with a couple friends one night and not touch it again for a year or two. Like, he didn't really do a lot of drugs. However, though, his in the last like few months before he passed, his life just self-destructed. Basically, he had a baby mama that he fell in love with. Before they had a child, he fell in love with her. After they had the child, he was still in love with her, but she cheated on him. She broke his heart. It was fucking absolute devastation to him. After she cheated on him, she decided to keep the kid, his daughter from him, and keeping his daughter from him is ultimately what led him into absolute destruction mode. That's when he started to use drugs a lot more. He tried heroin. He started using heroin, but he wasn't really shooting it. He was just, he didn't start shooting it. I guess he did behind my back. There was actually one time in particular, I walked into a house to get my heroin. He was there, and I immediately seen the needles laying around, and I immediately grabbed him by his throat and threw him up against the wall. And I told him if I ever, ever, ever caught him shooting dope, that I would literally, beat the shit out of whatever it was. And I told everybody, I threatened everybody in the house if anybody ever was around him shooting dope, that I, blah blah blah. Like I was seeing red in that moment because I never wanted my brother. You can call it hypocritical or whatever, but I never wanted my brother to shoot any drugs. I knew once you cross that line, there is no going back, and I knew that, and because I had suffered from it for so long at this point. But anyway, so he started to self-destruct, and so I'm trying to move through this as quick as I can. He basically, in those last couple of months, I was self-destructing so bad using the cocaine, using the heroin, that basically my wife held out hope for me throughout the whole 10 years that I would get clean eventually. But like I said, I was a functioning drug addict. I really didn't run the streets. I was more of like, I was always like, I'd go get my dope, I'd work all day, I'd be home at night, I wasn't running around until the last couple months before his passing is when I really got bad on the cocaine, and that's when I really started to I was gone all the time. I was gone all the time. I was acting schizo. I was paranoid all the time. I mean, because I was using so much cocaine, I was injecting the cocaine. It was really bad. Well, anyways, she got to the point where she said, "Okay, at this point, I cannot take it any longer, and I'm going to either take the kids and I'm going to move to Tennessee and stay with my father and until I get my feet on the ground, or you can come with me to Tennessee." And she didn't want to do that. She didn't want it to come to that because she didn't want to take me away from my family. She didn't want to do that. She couldn't take it anymore. And she thought maybe if I got away from everybody that I knew, that I would have one shot at just getting clean. And she was right. She was right, and she was rightfully so. So about a couple weeks before I went, my brother was like, I'm like, bro, listen, we're gonna get clean together. I'm leaving in a couple weeks. We're gonna get clean together. Like we're gonna do this together. We're gonna get clean together. Like I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna get clean. You're gonna get clean here. You're gonna stop fucking with all these people, and we're gonna get clean. And so I went down and I knew a doctor in Detroit, which was 4 hour drive for me. That I was the last like year or two. It was like a whole year before I had gone before this all happened. That I was going to once a month. You just walk in there, tell the doctor you're addicted to heroin, you needed help. He'd write you a script for 120, 150 methadones, 90 Xanax. He's a total fucking quack. And I would bring two or three of my friends with me. They would all get those, and that was a lot. I mean, that supported a good like week or two of every month of my addiction was that money, because I wouldn't take the methadone. I'd just bring them back up here and I'd sell them, and I'd sell them for a very high price, and it took care of my addiction for like I said, good quarter half of the month, and with just that money. And there was one time a couple weeks before we left that we were going to go down there and stay the night down there, and we were going with my one buddy who had family in the hood in Detroit, in southwest Detroit, and he had family down there, and we were going to go stay the night with them and then come back first thing in the morning. And my wife didn't really want me to go alone. I didn't really want to go alone, and my brother was like hype about it. He was like, "Let me go, man, I want to go, bro. Let me ride with you," and I was like, all right, bro, like I'll take you with me, and I took him with me. It was one of the biggest mistakes I ever made in my entire life. Um, so I took him down there, and we came back, and I kept that methadone. Like I kept like most of my methadone, and I gave him like 20 tablets or 30 tablets, and I kept most of mine. And I said, listen, we're gonna use these for a couple weeks here, and then we're done. And when we run out of these, it's over. Like, you're not going to use again. I'm not going to use again. It's over. And so let we're gonna go right up to the day that I was leaving, and we wanted to meet at a church, and we met at this church. Well, we went to church. It was a non-denomination church that some of my family members went to. So we went to that church, and I had my whole 16-foot landscape trailer filled with all my stuff, my truck filled with all my stuff. We were leaving from that church to go to Tennessee. The last time I ever seen my brother alive was there, and I got to give him at the end before we were leaving. It was all emotional. Everybody was crying, but they were happy because they're like, finally Jake's gonna go get clean and he's gonna live a better life. And the hope is that he'll get clean, he'll get his shit together, and then he'll come home and he'll come back up here. And that was my plan all along. I'm like, I'm not moving there forever. I'm just gonna move there for a few months, get my shit together. I'm gonna come home. But so we hugged. It was the last person that I hugged before I left was my brother, and we cried on each other's shoulders, and we looked each other in the eye, and we promised each other it was over. This was it. We're done. As soon as we run out of pills, I got enough to get me the car drive. At this point, I got enough to get me on a car drive to Tennessee, and then I'm gonna be in detox. But for me personally, like, I've always been able to flip my mind with detox. Like, I if I use Suboxone or methadone for like 10 days, 15 days or whatever, and quit my detox, I would skip all of the horrendous part of the detox, and it would be like easy detox from that point forward. And my brother, I figured, was going to be able to do that too. And so I wasn't too worried about my detox. I was just ready to start a new life. I was broken. I was broken down. I couldn't do it no more. I had track marks all up and down my arms. It was so fucking, I was so broken. And anyways, yeah, I looked at my brother and I told him, I fucking love you, bro. I love you so much. He gave me like this necklace to take with me with like this little writing on there, like, if you're ever feeling down, like, it's just, we hugged each other and we cried and we promised each other, like, when we get home, it was like like a sad but exciting feeling. When I get home, bro, like, we're gonna be sober together, and you're gonna come down and hang out with me down there, and we're gonna be sober together. Like, this is gonna be amazing. We're gonna raise our fucking kids sober finally. Like, this is, by the time I get home. And why he didn't go with me, I begged him to go with me for weeks. I begged him to go with me, but he respectfully would not leave because he was fighting to get his daughter back, and he had already made it to the point where he had 50%. He had gotten 50% custody of her, and he was well on his way to get 100% custody of his daughter, because the baby mom was just fucking up so bad. He was going to get 100% of that girl. And she broke his heart, man. She fucking destroyed him. She was keeping the baby from him, and he was so fucking worried and sick every single time that every time his daughter went home, he was so sick and worried about her. He was broken at this point as well, emotionally broken, but I was so broken as well, like, from the drugs, that I guess I didn't realize how bad how depressed he was, how fucked up he was from fighting this girl that he fell in love with, high school sweetheart. He thought she cheats on him with somebody somebody he knew, broke him. Then she decided to start pulling the card on him that you're not gonna see your daughter no more. You're not. She's mine. I'm the mother. You're not seeing her. And he missed her first Christmas. He missed her first birthday. He missed her first Easter. She kept her from him for all these holidays. And after he was broken. He was broken inside too. And yeah, I left and I got down there, and about 2 weeks after I got there, he had texted me one night, or he had called me 2 days before he died, and he had said, "Yo, where's that doctor at, man? I need to get some more methadone." And I was pissed. I said, "No, no, 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 no. You are not getting any more methadone. This is over. This is done. You are not getting any more. We are done with this shit, bro. Like, no more." And I ended up hanging up on him at the time, and he found the doctor. He was down in Detroit. He got a ride down there with his buddy. They found the doctor. He got the doctor. He got 120 methadones. He got like 90 Klonopins. He found the doctor. He got all that. And then we were pissed at each other because I told him not to do it and he did it anyways. And the day before he died, he had texted me and he was like, "Yo, bro, I'm so proud of you for moving down there and getting your shit together." He's like, "I love you, bro." And I didn't text him back right then because I was gonna call him that night, and then I fucking ended up falling asleep early that night because I was starting to feel better and I was starting to get outside and do things, and I was really getting active out there, like I was being active and feeling normal again. And so I forgot to call him back, and oh fuck, man, I didn't call him back. And the next day, my mom is hitting me up, my dad's calling me, and they're like, "Yo, have you talked to your brother? Where's he at?" I'm like, "I haven't heard from him. I don't know where he is." Like, and didn't think much of it until, like, 1, 2, 3, 4 p.m. started coming around and nobody had heard from him. And I was wondering where he was at, and nobody knew where he was. And then my dad calls me at 8, 9 o'clock p.m. I don't even remember anymore. And he calls me, and I'm having a serious talk with my father-in-law at the time about what my next steps are going to be in life. Like, because I'm sober now, and it's time to start figuring out if I'm going to get a job, where I'm going to get a job, what am I going to do? Am I going to move back to Michigan in a few months, in a year, 2 years? What am I going to do? And I didn't answer the first time. He calls like again, he calls again. I'm like, okay, I gotta take this right now. And I run out to the garage. I'm like, yo, what's up? And he just screams my name. Jake, your fucking brother is dead. And I'll never forget being in such shock. Like, and then I heard my mom screaming at the top of her fucking lungs. Screaming at the top of her fucking lungs, something you never want to hear from any woman in this world, let alone your own mother. And they said, and what happened was he had the night prior that I didn't call him. The night prior, he had went over to one of his friends' house. This chick that he had actually fallen this next chick that he had actually fallen in love with. They were like his ride or die. Like he fell in love with this chick, and she told him that night they were drinking or whatever, and I don't know exactly what was happening, but they were drinking or whatever, and she ended up telling him that she was gonna be pursuing this other guy. And once again, heartbroken. Like, dude's already been broken. He's depressed. He's already been kicked while he's down. Like, and he thinks he has this other girl that is like gonna be his real girlfriend. Again, like, finally. Nope. Nope. She tells him she wants to go. She's gonna date this other guy, and he loses it. He's in fucking full blown depression. So, and he's sick at the time. He's got pneumonia at the time. He has pneumonia at the time. Fucking negative 20 degrees outside is what the temperature is. He walks out of the house and he leaves, and he's drunk. He's walking, and he walks 1 hour to one of another friend's house that answered his phone call at some really ridiculous 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Answered his phone call, said, "Yeah, if you can get here, you can come here." So he walks there with pneumonia, drunk, full of methadone. And what I didn't know, and no one, well, I obviously wouldn't have known this, that he had cocaine on him, and it wasn't a lot, it was a very little bit. But when he got to that house, he locked himself in a room, in the back room, and he had shot that cocaine up. Well, he had gotten cotton fever when he shot the cocaine up, and between the cotton fever and the cocaine and the meth, which he didn't have a lot of methadone in him, he didn't have any Klonopin, so he must have sold the Klonopin that he had gotten, because they found Klonopin on him, but he didn't have any in his system or whatever, and they only found a few of them, and he just got the prescription, so he must have sold a lot of the Klonopins or whatever. I don't know, but he basically had pneumonia. He had methadone in his system. He was drunk, and he got cotton fever when he went to shoot the cocaine. Killed him. Fucking killed him. And the fucking piece of shit chick that at that house that he thought was his friend knew he was in there. She heard him puking in there, and she was too scared to go in there. She didn't call 911. She didn't go in there. She didn't do anything. She fucking did nothing. And she fucking called the girl that he was in love with at the time, and she fucking immediately bolted over there. And this is the next night at like, 8 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night. She flies over there, kicks the fucking door down, and it's too late. If that fucking bitch would have called, that bitch would have just called 911. If that bitch would have done anything, broke her own door down to get to find out what's going on in her house in the back room. No, you're just gonna you're too scared. So you just leave him there and you call for somebody that's gotta drive all the way over there. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'll never forgive. I have a hate inside me so bad that I can't even begin to talk about this girl. We'll just skip over her. So I fucking, it was destroyed, obviously, and I drove home. And when I got on my way home, actually, I was on an open freeway in Kentucky. There was not very much traffic. It was a straight lane. I actually was redlining the truck trying to get home, which was a very bad decision looking back on it. I mean, but it was just an open straight highway. I got pulled over by a Kentucky state trooper, and I told him, he's like, you're going 120 miles an hour with your family in the car. What's wrong with you? Like, first, that was really stupid of me, right? But I just wanted to be home. I just wanted to hug my mom. I just wanted to hug my father. I just wanted to be home with them. And I told him my brother died last night, and I'm going home to see my parents. And he's like, well, I got to go confirm that real quick. Let me see. And he walks halfway to his truck, and he just turns around and walks back to me. And he's like, look, dude, your parents do not need to deal with any other tragedies. You need to go slow, and you need to get home to your family. He's like, just go. Don't worry about nothing. Just go. And that was really a blessing of him to do that. And so we drove home and we went to the funeral. And unfortunately for me, my mom was prescribed Xanax because she was absolutely fucking losing her mind 24/7, could not console her, could not control her. She was screaming, she was crying, it was non-stop. So she was prescribed Xanax to help her deal with it, which just made her numb to it pretty much. But I found the bottle and I became completely blacked out for the next 2 weeks. The whole funeral is a complete blackout, and I regret that so much. You guys have no idea how much I regret that, but all I can see is little bits and pieces of it, My brother had people, every single person we ever knew in Detroit, every person we knew in northern Michigan, every single person. That funeral had hundreds of people, hundreds of people. My brother was a freaking amazing human being that he had so many people loved him. Like, he was an amazing, amazing person that had just been broken emotionally, depressed, wasn't even into drugs. 8 months prior, the dude did nothing but smoke weed. Occasionally my guy did something with some friends, but that last few months before he died, he was completely broken. He was broken. He was completely broken. And so what happened after that is, for the next 2 years I could hear this voice in my head to the point that I was just, get it out, please stop, get it out. Hearing my dad call me and say, your brother's fucking dead. I heard that over and over and over and over and over and over. I got on Suboxones when I got back to Tennessee with the most amazing doctor I have ever met in my entire life, who called me and checked on me, and she literally cared so much about what I was going through. I'll never forget calling her and being like, I need to get on Suboxone. Because I had started doing heroin again when I was back up north. When I was up north for about 3 weeks from the time I left to get out there to the funeral, and was still there for about 3 weeks before I went back to Tennessee. And I got right back on heroin. I was all I knew is I needed to numb that pain. I needed to numb that pain. So that's what I did. I numbed the pain. And I couldn't get the voice out of my head. I couldn't get my dad's voice out of my head. I could not. And my mom's screaming. I couldn't get it out of my head. And I missed him so much. And I would call him over and over, just listen to his voicemail on his phone. Yeah, it was really hard, man. It was really fucking hard. Anyways, I got back. I was only on heroin for like 2 more weeks because it took me about a week to find it after the funeral, and got on it for a couple weeks. Went back to Tennessee, found the best doctor I've ever met in my entire life. She cared so much about me, um, but I couldn't get that voice out of my head. It lasted 2 years. 2 years after my brother died, I went and seen a medium. I never told anybody except my wife that that voice was haunting me so badly, and that I had the biggest regret of my entire life riding on my shoulders that would not go anywhere, and it was that I didn't call my brother back after he texted me that night, and I didn't call him back that night. That was just completely running through my brain 24/7. Um, so I went to go see a medium, and that the medium told me that my brother wants me to not be sorry. Do not be sorry that you didn't call me, because no matter what you did, I was so broken inside that there would have been no change of what happened. If you did call me, nothing would have changed. The same thing would have happened, because you just I was so broken at the time. So that medium saved my life without knowing it, because that was like the turning point for me. I started to really see clearly, like I was like, okay, like he's there. He's watching over me. He's still here with me in ways, and we're gonna, you know, I don't know. I don't want to. I've already been talking for 25 minutes, and we can go. I can do a part two to this, and I've also want to talk more on where my addiction picked back up after all this, and where it left off and where it stopped. And I want to talk about my usage and things like that. But I've pretty much covered what happened to my brother, and I've had a lot of people ask what happened to my brother, and I feel like this is a story. I want to start affecting people in a positive way. I want to bring awareness to these drugs. I want people to know how people are dying. I want people to know that if they think that they're at rock, if they think that they can never get clean, that they can look and see me and know that this guy has been through a tremendous loss. I mean, you guys, there's at least 7 people that lived in my home that I grew up with. I called them best friends. I called them brothers of mine that are all dead. But my brother's death is the worst one for me. Obviously, he's my brother. But my best friends have died. 7. I know 7 right off rip that were my best close friends growing up to me, lived in my home. I called them brothers. We lived together. We slept in the same room with each other for months at end, and these people are all gone. It's killing people so fast. You don't want to be the one that died. You want to be the one that makes it out to tell your story to someone else. And even if you don't want to tell your story, that's fine, but you need to get clean for yourself, for your family, for your kids, for your wives, for your husbands, for your mothers, for your fathers, or for just yourself. You need to get clean. Whether it's mat treatment, whether it's, whether no matter what it is, just head down the right path. I want people to see me and know that I've been from 14 all the way up to 27, 28 years old. I was using full time, and I was able to get clean, and I want to get this story out there, and I think it's time I start letting my story be told. So much love, everybody. I appreciate everybody that watched this video, getting a little bit of a piece of my life, and I've got a lot more content to produce. If you guys want to hit the sub button and join this journey with me, I would appreciate it very much. If you want to see my other content on Instagram, it's JakeG762 underscore, TikTok JakeG762, Facebook JakeG762, and here on YouTube is JakeG762. And if you guys want to drop a sub, like I said, and be on this journey with me, it would be awesome. This is just the beginning of so much more to come, as I'm going to start really talking about addiction and things like that. So I appreciate you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you guys have a great day. Get clean, have hope, have faith in your loved ones that are using. And I just hope that I can affect somebody in a positive way. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Have a great night, y'all. We'll talk to you soon. Much love.